All right, welcome to the show, Jason Bible, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We are doing the show today. Christmas a couple of days away. Should we talk about The Mandalorian? All I'm going to say is not by the color of the lightsaber, but how they swung it. I was like, I know exactly who that is.
Me too.
I knew exactly who that was. I was like, all right, here we go.
So what I've been doing. So if you haven't been watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, you need to. It's probably some of the best TV that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been what I did this weekend is I watched people's reaction.
Oh, that's
to the
funny.
Scene.
That's funny.
And there are just like hundreds of grown men just crying.
Really?
Just weeping. And it, so then because I like studying people, right? So then I'm thinking, okay, well, what is that? That's really tears of joy, right?
Yeah.
Joy is just as powerful as loss, right? So joy is such an intense emotion. But one guy said it. He said, "We have begun the redemption arc for Luke Skywalker."
Interesting.
Meaning what they screwed up in the last trilogy of movies, we now have an opportunity to change.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Because he is at probably top 5 Jedi of all time as far as power goes.
Yeah, and Ben Kenobi was right there with him, right? I mean, there were some real titans right around that same time.
And he trained under 3 different Jedis, right? So Kenobi, Yoda, and after Darth Vader's death, his father. At least that's part of the canon.
Yeah.
So, yes, it was he used that forced crush, which is a dark side. It's a Sith ability.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, here we go. So, it's my favorite part of that whole show is when, they're barricaded in there, dark troopers running around, and I forget which character said, and they were like, what do you mean, only one X-Wing?
Only one.
And he comes in like real slow, just kind of chilling, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good.
So Favreau was on Good Morning America today. I watched that interview. In case you don't know, Jon Favreau is the showrunner, along with Dave Filoni, who's absolutely did the Clone Wars. If you haven't seen that animated show, it's pretty good.
I think I'm going to go. I remember watching a couple seasons with my boys. I think I'm going to go back and watch it.
I checked out after like season 3, and I'll probably jump back in. But he said that the Book of Boba Fett was an announcement that Disney allowed him to hold back from the big announcement they did 2 weeks ago.
I'm glad they did, because it would have gotten lost in the women of Star Wars, because that's really what they're doing. It's kind of goofy, but whatever.
Well, that's not Favreau and Dave, right? They've got their own little thing going on. And while someone made a comment, it's like, hey, the attack party was all women.
Yes.
And we didn't notice it. We just followed along because it was badass and it was really good. It wasn't like Marvel that threw it in our face.
Right.
Versus what they did, which was, hey, these are just the people there and they're going to go do it. And here are the 2 Mandalorians. Here's the Ranger and here's the Assassin, and they're all going out and doing it. And so, I think Jon Favreau saved Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, that ending scene when he takes out the hut, and when he sits on his throne there, I was like, oh, this next series is going to be violent, and it's going to be great.
So that is not The Mandalorian. There's 2 series. They're going to run almost back to back. They're doing a short, probably maybe 6 episodes for the Book of Boba Fett, and then I'll run into season 3. Now, what I've heard is they're doing a time jump.
Oh, interesting.
So they're going to be a year later.
Ah.
So that means that Grogu
now
has a year's worth of Jedi training. And then someone else said, I watch a podcast, Fat Man on Batman. That's Kevin Smith and Mark. I forget his name. Mark's a writer, done a lot of great sci-fi stuff. I worked for LA Times for a while. He said, I don't think we're going to see the Mandalorian and Grogu back until the Mandalorian needs to get bailed out, and here comes Jedi Grogu.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm waiting for it. And he's like, I will patiently wait 5 years for that scene where Grogu comes and saves the Mandalorian and says, this is the way.
Oh, there you go.
Like, oh, my God.
That's great.
Yeah. It better be written like that.
Yeah, that's great. I'm definitely excited about the Boba Fett series. I think it's going to be really, really good. And I don't. Whenever they can get Ben Kenobi's thing, he's always been my favorite.
They started.
Oh, they already started shooting?
They've already started training.
Okay.
They've got video clips of him and Hayden Christensen. I guess there's another Darth Vader battle.
Oh, good.
So there's a third one that no one saw in between that. And then, but the main foil is going to be Darth Maul.
Oh, okay. So it's going to, if you guys know anything, if you watch which would have been the second or third one, when you see Darth Maul, the guy who played Darth Maul was a legit martial arts guy.
Yeah.
And it was so, and Ben Kenobi has always been described in canon as one of the best with the lightsaber.
Yep.
So it is going to be a show.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to be ridiculous.
Right. There was no, right. So the canon led up, and basically there was reason why Obi Kenobi beat Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
Because he was better.
Yes.
He was known to be better.
Yep.
The only person better than him was Yoda.
Yeah.
Yoda was the
yeah, Yoda was number one. He was number two, right?
Yeah, so if you haven't watched it, get caught up. Those are fantastic. Now we're going to Marvel season.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting, I think.
So I think we've got 2 Marvel shows coming up before the next Star Wars show.
Okay.
So Disney absolutely dropped a massive bomb, all this stuff. So we're going to see WandaVision, which looks weird, which is fun. And I think they'll be able to do the new, what's the name? Winter Soldier and the other guy doing their episode.
Oh, what's it, guys? It's not Archangel.
Hawk.
It's something like that. Yeah.
So they'll be able to do that, and that should be interesting. And then it looks like Spider-Man is going to be crossing the Spider-Verse. So the last 2 Spider-Mans, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, are in this next movie.
Oh, weird.
Yes.
Huh. Well, I'll tell you the other one that I'm excited about,
Nostalgia.
and I have not read up about it, is Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And if they do that right, it could be, because you really get to see all these Jedi, all these Sith run around. I mean, it's like they were all over the place during that era, and it's
an army of Sith.
Yeah, and if you've ever played any of the games, they're absolutely incredible. So exciting, man! 2021 is going to be pretty sweet. Well, towards the end of 21, anyway.
Yeah. Well, we got some filler coming in, so that should be good. And then Wonder Woman drops on Christmas.
Okay.
And a new Pixar movie drops on Christmas.
Yeah.
Both are free if you have the right providers, so that's good. Yeah, I think they're okay. It's if we can just get through this COVID thing, I think at the end of it, the economy is going to explode. There'll be so much content out there that's been held up.
Yep.
So anyway, hey guys, this is Robert and Jason with Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We're just kind of taking a little chill this week. Appreciate all of them. I think we have maybe one announcement. You got email going out about the bonus time from the mastermind expiring on January 1st, so get in before then. We've got, I think, 11 properties to close in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just got an update on this Richmond deal. That's no big deal. They just need a witness.
Can I get a witness?
Can I get a witness?
So we do appreciate you guys checking us out, hanging out with us here on the radio show. We will be back.
Welcome back. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We may talk about real estate. We may not.
We should talk about passive investing because we just had a big meeting on that this morning. And the confusion in the marketplace, kind of what the market understands passive. And once you dig in real deep and you start managing funds and being part of syndications and crowd funds, there's a completely different definition. Right? So why don't you just go ahead to the layman, what's passive investing?
So if you were just to ask somebody off the street, what would you like in your financial future? And they're all going to say, I'd love to invest passively, right? Like, so I don't have to work. 90% of the market wants that. They want to expose their net worth to real estate because of the cash flow, right? And then eventually the equity when the asset is sold. So when you talk to somebody and you tell them, well, apartments and rental properties and all that really aren't passive, they're like, well, wait a second. I've always heard Kiyosaki says it's passive, and so does, Tony Robbins, everybody else.
Right?
Yeah, it's all mailbox money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it kind of is, kind of isn't. But the problem is, from a branding standpoint, you can't really get on a radio show and say, well, this is passive and this is not, because the layman says everything that's not flipping and wholesaling is passive income.
Yes.
And, I can understand that, how they see it that way, because they're not working 40 hours a week to manage 100 rental properties, right? It's just not their deal. So, however, in the fund world and syndication world that you and I are in right now, for folks that invest in our fund and syndications, that is passive for them, right? They got some reports they got to look at. They may attend a meeting or two that we've got on Zoom, but really they're not all that actively involved in the operation of these assets. So that's really what we're at the point now where it's like, let's just call it all passive investing, and we'll just show you the best way to do it based off your resources.
Yeah, and where those resources are coming from.
Right. Yeah.
Because there is a tax component to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a legal component.
Yep.
The IRS is involved in this, and what they claim is passive, what not is passive. So, we're going to spend some time on that over the next 90 days, breaking that stuff down. We'll do a couple webinars on it, and hopefully we'll get some experts in to help us really parse that out. But at the end of the day, most people want mailbox money.
That's right.
Right, whether it's coming to exactly to their mailbox or going back to, their IRA company.
Mm-hmm.
It's mailbox money to them.
That's right. And here's the thing, I think that, and this is not a sales technique because the data backs this up. And that is, if you're waiting around to invest in real estate, you're missing out on massive opportunities.
Yeah.
I met a young couple. They had done a couple of flips. They're getting married, I think, early next year. We were at the Jet Lending Customer Appreciation event, which we received. Did you know we were loan number 2,999 for Jet Lending? That's why they gave us the cooler and everything else. We were loan number 2,999. The guy next to me was loan number 3,000.
Nice. Did he get something better?
He got a bigger gift card. Same cooler, but he got
arbitrary.
I don't know. I just wanted the
What
cooler.
did 3001 get? Something even better?
He got a loan.
Oh,
That was it. He got a loan.
that's great.
He got a loan. He didn't get anything else.
Nice.
So it's like,
We're
here's
very
your
great.
loan.
We're very grateful.
We're very grateful. Yeah, guys, we haven't used the cooler yet. In fact, Eddie's already texted me. He's like, "Hey, man, you got any of that beer in that cooler yet?" And I'm like, "No, not yet. I'm busy.
We're doing
kind of doing some. I've got for the last couple of weeks. I've been doing some different things, so I haven't had time to put any beer in that cooler. In fact, I think between now and April 1st, I've got some pretty interesting plans. Anyway, so if you don't do it now, it's going to be really hard to get into this business. In fact, I just pulled up the HAR report. Total active listings down 27%. Sales up 26%.
That's amazing.
That's a 53%.
The median, what's the average?
The median home price.
It's November, right?
Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. The average sales price is up 15%. The median sales price is up 12%. Months of inventory have dropped to 2.2. This is a hyper hot market.
It's awesome.
Super hot.
Yep.
Super, super hot. To put it another way, the single family house is appreciating 15% a year.
Mm-hmm.
So on a $100,000 house, it's appreciating $150,000 house. It's appreciating $1,500 a month. Right? That's 1% a month of 150 is 1,500.
Yep, absolutely.
So I want to explain this to everybody. You lost.
How much did you lose last month?
Every house you don't buy,
right.
You're losing $1,500 a month in appreciation.
Yep.
Every house you don't buy, $1,500 a month.
Yep.
Add on the cash flow on top of that and the tax savings, all that. It's $2,000 a month, easy.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, everyone's looking around with, there's no deals out there. Yeah, there are. Just buy the stupid house.
Right.
Like, it's getting absurd. Just buy it. Now, this is the problem, right? If you're in the note business, you don't get to experience all this, right? Because that $1,500 a month, you just immediately take off the table because you get
someone else. Yeah.
It's going to somebody else, going to the borrower, right?
Yep.
If you're a lender long term, you don't get that.
Yep.
Which is why in our fund, we've got equity.
There's a kicker.
There is an equity kicker in there. Yep. So we pay a 9% preferred return, and then we add 10% equity back to the folks that participate in our fund. Why? Because we want them to get a portion of that $1,500 a month. We want them to get a portion of that 15% a year appreciation. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's when you start looking at the numbers And I can tell you right now, this is not going to stop anytime soon. It's just not. People are moving here as fast as humanly possible, meaning Texas. You know, I see people, I need to go to Ohio, I need to go to India, I need to go. I'm like, why? Well, why would you not invest here? I guarantee those markets aren't appreciating 15%. Like, they're just not.
So that's a bonus, almost 8%.
Oh, on top of our 9?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I cannot, because the FEC FTC would throw a fit if I were to show you our internal projections for the fund.
You can't say that either.
Oh, I can't say that either? No. Okay. Well, let me put it this way. You guys do the math.
We have to close a few. So
Actually, we're selling a couple right now.
Well, we're going to convert one, we're going to sell one. There's one we're going to sell, and then we take that one, we'll be able to show and do a payout to our investors, and then use that as a case study.
We're totally going to do that.
Yeah, so that will be first quarter. We'll get that on the market.
So for those of you who are doing a little math, if you bought a house, and let's say you were 80% leveraged.
Yep.
And that property appreciated 15%.
Mm-hmm.
We can
do a little bit more.
We can do the quick math on that. Let's do it real quick. 150 times 0.15.
1.15 times.
So that means it gained 22.5. And you've only got 80% in it, right?
So you made $18,000 on that property.
You made $18,000 in 1 year.
Yep.
It's pretty ridiculous when you think about it.
Absolutely.
And you're all in, let's see, 150 times 0.2, $30,000. You're almost at 100% rate of return year one. Because you're in for 30, you gain 22.5 in equity, plus the cash flow. You're almost 100% rate of return. I'll put it this way. I always got to put a caveat to some on the radio. There are very few investments that run like that. Very, very few.
Let's keep stacking that. So let's go at $18,000, and let's just be very conservative. $300 a month cash flow. It's 36 plus 18, 21.6. Okay, remember that number. Then it's 100. Let's call the basis 100. Mm-hmm. Right? Divided by 27.5. It's another $3,600 in depreciation.
So 21.6 plus 3,600?
3,600 plus 18.
Deep, beep, boop, boop, boop. I can hear your Samsung.
So that's 25,000.
25 grand.
Yeah.
on
150. 17%.
Yeah, but we're not paying 150 for it. We're paying 30, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost 100% rate of return.
Pretty amazing.
Year one.
Hey, we're going to continue this conversation when we come back. This is Robert and Jason, Texas Real Estate Radio Network.
Welcome back, Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. It's a week before Christmas here.
We have a Star Wars question.
Let's talk Star Wars, and I'm going to tell you my car conundrum I have. So let's do Star Wars first.
Excellent. What's the deal with the black lightsaber?
Oh my gosh!
So that has a great backstory. There was
gotta watch the Clone Wars.
You gotta watch. There was the Mandalore, who's the leader of the Mandalorian, at one point trained with the Jedis.
That's right.
And instead of creating a colored lightsaber, he made the black, the black blade, the black saber,
which you'll notice even sounds different.
Yes, absolutely. And that is like the conch. If you have it, right, it's very barbaric, right? Because the Mandalorians are very militaristic barbarian, you know. So if you have it, then you are the leader. You are the Mandalore. You are the leaders of the Mandalorian. And if you lose it in combat, then the next person,
that's right,
it takes it over. It's kind of like the Elder Wand. Yep, in Harry Potter. So that's what that is, and it's been around for about 1,000 years. Yep.
It's got a little tradition there.
A little bit, yes. Which is why she couldn't just take it.
That's right.
Because he said it's not just the blade, it's the story, how I beat.
That's right.
Right? How I beat Moff Gideon. That's the thing.
If you want to go down a rabbit hole, start looking at colors of lightsabers.
Yes.
That you can read that for hours. My favorite one's the orange one.
The orange one, which is only made for some sort of video game. Then they made it canon.
Yeah, then they put it in canon. Yeah.
The yellow ones are for the guards.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So which is fascinating because Luke had 2 different colors, right?
He did.
I think he's one of the few that had. Ben's has always been blue.
He had his father's blue lightsaber.
That's right.
And then he had the green one.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
So before his father had the red one.
Yes, his father had the red one. And then
purple was Sam Jack. He just had to have a purple one, so they were like, "We'll get you Samuel Jackson. We'll give you a purple one."
Yeah, it's unique. And Ahsoka Tana has the white ones.
That's right.
But she bleached them. I think she got them off of what's his name, Darth Maul. And she bleached them and made her dual white sabers.
I like it.
Yeah, we can sit there all day long.
That's great.
Anyway, back to the sort of passing stuff. Yeah, man. Even if you got to put in a couple hours a month work, if you put in $40,000 for the property and you've made a total yield of $25,000, it's 60% return.
You're making $1,500 a month in appreciation. Don't get me wrong, you're not eating on appreciation.
No.
But I'll tell you right now, nobody gets rich from cash flow. It's the appreciation.
Nope. You're right. Yeah, it's the payoff. The cash flow helps. The depreciation helps, especially the people that we're talking to, those that have W-2 jobs and high-paying W-2 jobs with big tax burden. The fact that you can take that depreciation against your taxes and free up cash, free up enough cash where you can go buy another house.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically the federal government has given you a mechanism to buy one house a year.
That's right.
If you're, 180 plus income.
Yeah. And just 1 or 2 houses a year. You don't, I'm starting to write the curriculum for the 10 house program, right? Yeah. And a lot of folks don't understand. Imagine you got 10 houses and you're earning $1,500 a month in appreciation each one. You're making $15,000 a month in appreciation.
Yep, 180 a year.
$180,000 a year just in appreciation.
Sure.
All you have to do is wait 10 years, and that's $1.8 million.
That's right.
You buy 10 houses, hold on to them for 10 years, done.
Yep.
Like this. That's all you want is $1.8 million. That's fine, but you just buy more than that. Like this isn't that hard.
Well, I think the way the different exits that we teach folks is really important as well. But yeah, that 10 houses will change your life.
Yes, absolutely.
That's it, and that's where we've talked about from the beginning, making real estate millionaires by buying, 10 properties, and whether they're 10 doors or 20 doors or 30 doors, depending on what type of property you buy. There is an exit there that absolutely makes retirement great. Now, we were talking on Friday, about the why and the motivation and all that nonsense that gurus put you through. But listen, the reality is this: you don't want to be old and poor.
No, it's terrible,
right? I mean, here's the motivation. I'll just punch you right in the throat. The last thing you want is to have a long-term illness. That's Brian. You don't want to be terminally ill in this country and poor.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That is the worst.
Yeah,
the absolute worst. So you don't want that. That in and of itself should be enough reason to go get 10 properties so that you, your wife, your kids never have to suffer through government-funded, charity-funded, long-term medical care.
Yeah,
that is not a good place to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I think if you're, the other thing I think a lot of people miss is that with real estate, it's an actual tangible asset. So
yeah.
I'll tell you, the most powerful investors out there are those that have, we're just not going to, the most powerful investors out there are the ones that own single family houses that are free and clear. That's just the reality of it, right?
Right.
Because you've got an asset you can leverage. It's really easy to lend on. It's
cash out, and you can take some money out, right? You can take, and that's not taxable.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
The takeout, if you refi some cash out of your property, that is not taxable by the federal government. That's a beautiful thing. Now California's trying to do that for you, but here it ain't.
There will be a net worth tax at some point.
I think it's coming pretty quickly.
It's coming.
I think it's coming at the end of this.
You think so? Yeah.
Either that or the world has got to beat up China.
Well, it's so funny. I was having this thought today. I was logged into one of my banks, and I'm looking at APY on CDs, and I'm looking at interest on credit card debt. Like it all. So when you log into this, I'm a member. I think they're the largest credit union in the country. I'm logged in, and I've been a member there since '97. So it was one of the first ones. My parents had an account there, so they opened it up for me. I think I had $1,000 limit on there back when I was a 18-year-old kid. I think the credit limit I have now is like 40 or 50 grand, something ridiculous. And actually, they asked me, said, "Hey, do you want to increase your credit?" I'm like, "Well, sure, why not?" And I was doing something else in there, and I noticed down at the bottom they have like a list of all their products, right? Credit cards, cars, auto loans, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm thumbing through it, and I think they have an account. I'd have to look and see what my interest rate is on my credit card. It may be below 6. It's something crazy like that. And what I realized is whether it's cash or credit, the world is awash in money. It's probably the best way I can put it. The world is absolutely awash in cash and debt. So what's the real value of the dollar at this point? They just printed another 900 billion. I don't know if it passed yet. It's supposed to pass either last night or today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But there's another 900 billion that's going to get rolled out through stimulus. And there's another rumor out there of like another 2.1 trillion.
Yeah.
So what that tells me is money is worthless. Money is absolutely worthless.
No, you need a tangible asset. We know this.
I will. I'll do it at a seminar sometime in the future. Man, you know what? I'll do this for the patrons at some point on Patreon. If you guys want some of our classes, a lot of people have asked, like, "Hey, Jason, do you and Rob still teach classes?" All that. And I'm like, "Yeah, just go to Mr. Texas and then click on our education link and go through. It's like $25 a month." But I'll do a class on financial assets versus real assets, because I think that's a really important lesson. No matter how many greenbacks you've got, they're worth zero at the end of the day. You need real fixed assets.
I got it. Yeah, we went out and bought tens of millions of dollars of property, and we forgot to buy our own this year. So,
I got my personal residence.
We got to go take care of that. Anyway, this is Robert Jason. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back.
All right, welcome back, Jason. Robert Orfino.
I'm sorry. So our own central bank owns most of our debt.
They own a lot of it. That's what they call.
What the Fed is.
That's what they call monetizing the debt.
Got it.
Fed buys the Treasury. That's essentially what's happening. What's been happening since 2008. In fact, there was a big article that came out last week that the Fed stepped out and said, "Oh yeah, guys, we can't directly go in and buy some of this stuff without congressional approval." Which, if you guys back up all the way back to March and April, when I started talking about what was going on in the marketplace, I said legally they can't do this. And so now they finally said, "Well, you know what? We kind of made a mistake. Congress, you need to give us approval." So the Fed's been doing some stuff that they have legally cannot do.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's exactly how it works. It's when you really look at the number one U.S. export is the U.S. dollar.
So it's like a whole life insurance policy. We're never going to foreclose on ourselves.
No, we're not foreclosing ourselves. No, that's exactly. Yeah, it's like a UIL, right?
Yeah,
Universal Index Life Policy. That you, if you guys don't know what that is, you need to go to one of our smart banking classes. It will blow your mind. Yeah, I mean, who's going to call the debt on the U.S. government, right? I mean,
not as long as we're producing.
And not as long as we have a really badass military. That's how that all works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these folks whine and complain about the, military industrial complex. I'm like, it's the reason we can get away with the things we can. I mean, that's straight up like how it works.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And again, at the end of the day, people like to peg me as a Democrat, right, or liberal. I'm like, that's fine. You want that label? I mean, I'm okay with that. But really, I'm an imperialist.
I was going to say, trust me, there are much worse labels, and I probably have all of them.
Right. For me, I'm all about the empire.
Oh, yeah. The empire.
We are the empire.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? We are not the ragtag band of rebels. We are the empire.
Yeah.
We control monetary. We control the military.
Yes.
Another word for order is stabilization. We want to be stable so we can have our economic markets. Like, we are the empire, right? Luke Skywalker's not on our side.
No. Yep. Somebody made a really fascinating point the other day. They said, it was on Twitter somewhere. I've been all over the internet doing a bunch of different things. And somebody said, you do realize this has been the longest time in the history of mankind that Europe has not had shifting borders. And I thought, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Free trade creates peace. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about people making money. both wars were economically motivated, right? Germany went to war over their economy, nothing else, right? It wasn't, someone didn't backhand a guy with a white glove. It was like, hey man, you screwed us, and we're not going to be suffering these tariffs or restrictions.
That's right.
And so,
little Texas history. That's how Texas seceded from Mexico.
Of course, yeah. A
lot of people think it was something like, no, the Texicans were
absolutely
treated disproportionately to Mexicans, and they said, we've had it.
Yep.
Absolutely done with this nonsense.
It's history. So, yeah, as long as you don't mess with people's wallets, you typically get peace.
Yes.
Right? And the problem is when you have an enemy that doesn't understand free trade, right?
Yeah.
That becomes a problem. You have Vietnam, you have Korea, they have all that stuff. So, anyhow, when the next one comes, it will be big.
Yeah, it's going to be a mess.
It will be big, and I don't mind going on the first day. I really don't. I don't want to live through that.
You don't want to live through nuclear winter?
No, not at all. All you preppers, you guys could come and use your life straws on my pool, and that's fine. Take the charcoal out of my garage. They're all good.
I'm
rewatching
Billions right now, and if you guys are on my email list, you can see it. It's just I was just in this weird place in my life for the last couple months, so I'm like, I'm going to watch a little Bobby Axelrod, and I'm like, all right, everything's right in the world. I've gotten refocused here. Kind of forgot who I was for the last couple months. Then I watched that. I'm like, oh, no, now I know exactly who I am.
Yeah.
And Wags gives him this gift of one of those luxury bunkers.
Yeah.
And the Ark, if you guys are familiar with the Ark.
Yeah.
And he said, well, Wags, did you get one? And he said, no, man, I'm going to hang out with all the marauders doing all my stuff. He's like, if there's anybody that should be rebuilding the world, he's like, it's not in my image, right? Because he's a complete crazy wild man, right? So I think it's one of those things. It's like you start looking around, and I posted a funny little meme of Bill Gates, and it said, most of y'all are not worth microchipping. Change my mind. Like, I thought it was so funny because I'm like, all these people out there are worried about the big government and the deep state. And I'm like, dude, you are of so little value.
I know.
Like, no one cares, man. Like, I watched that whole Snowden documentary. I mean, don't get me wrong, what they're doing is wrong. But, like, are you ever going to become someone of consequence?
Is it wrong? Does not Facebook and everyone else have the same amount of data? I mean, right? So
they do.
What are we talking about?
Oh, they do.
The guy who sells you Fruit Loops has got as much data on you as the U.S. government. So what the hell are you worried about?
When I was running the marketing program for Houston House Buyers, I was buying data from credit card companies,
right?
And then we were cross-referencing it with Facebook posts to figure out who was in financial crisis. Like, the amount of data that's out there is mind-blowing.
Right. We can there is no more right to privacy, right? That's all been taken away. And it's been taken away because we like to buy things.
That's right.
And we like our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the trade-off. That's the world we live in. The empire knows everything about you.
That's right.
If you don't like it, I get it. You can get out.
Get out.
But don't complain to me when you're trying to start a revolution on your iPhone.
Yeah.
Right? Please.
My favorite image video from this year, I got a couple of them, but my favorite is when they were in Portland and those guys are the guys dressed up and they jump out of the van, like the Enterprise Rent-A-Van.
Yeah.
And they snatch that kid right off the street.
Yeah.
And they're like, who are you? What are you doing? They just throw him in the van and drive off. And I'm like, you guys are so stupid. It's not even funny. There's no revolution.
No.
The guys with all the guns that are like, I love watching this on Facebook. Everybody's screaming and yelling about taking away my freedoms and, because of the COVID lockdowns. I'm like, what are you going to do? Oh, you're going to talk on Facebook. You're really not going to do anything.
I mean, wait till you just can't buy Benadryl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait till you can't get aspirin.
Mm-hmm.
How horrible the world is.
Most people have never seen real unfettered evil before, like what that really looks. I've traveled to some really rough parts of the world.
Yeah,
you've never really seen abject poverty and just terrible.
Nope.
So they talk about it on Facebook, like, they're making me sit at home, and I'm like, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to get on Facebook and complain. I'm like, you ain't ready for the revolution, bro.
Well, I think the issue is we're still consumers.
Right.
Yeah. When the consumers go away, that's when people stop caring, right?
Right.
That's when our empire shifts.
Yeah.
But again, I'm okay with it. I mean, I look around. It's okay.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. There are things wrong. I totally get it.
Yeah, it's not perfect. It's not heaven.
It's not perfect. Yeah, it's not heaven. It's not Norway. So, we got to deal with this stuff. I get it, but people get fired up because they're poor and have nothing else to do.
Right. So, right. So this brings me to my next point. Or what you could do is get to work.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be my Lambo year, and COVID screwed up my Lambo year.
Yes, and my Tesla year.
And your Tesla year, yeah. It's what did it turn out? Yeah, we bought an office building, a bunch of other stuff. That's why I don't have a Lambo this year.
We did.
So it's get to freaking work. Just get to work. Stop doing all your nonsense, right? Complaining online, partying too much, hanging out with the wrong crowd, listening to garbage podcasts. And I've got a post right now. It says, get rid of the trash. Take out the trash. It was a Jim Rohn thing. It's get to work.
Yeah.
Get to work. Because it's worth it. That's the other thing. That's the other side of the story, right? It's worth it.
You hope. There's no better hope than that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's been worth it. What do you think?
Yeah, so far. 36 months. Well, I'll let you know in 36 months. Hey, this has been Robert and Jason, this Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Thanks for joining us tonight.